Hey everybody, welcome to a Well Start Wellcast. And we have special guests today here in the studio. With me, right behind me, is Josh.
What's up?
And we are joined via Skype down in the depths of Florida. Dr. Glenn Livingston of Never Binge Again. Hey Glenn.
Yo. Hey. What up?
Oh, we're gonna have a cool contest. I'll just bow out now.
Word.
Yo.
Pretty sure I'm winning and I haven't even said a word. Y'all are killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just talked about, like, what we've been hearing from some people is like they've been doing Well Start for maybe 3-4 weeks now, and they've really kind of put their hearts and souls into it. And we're starting to hear some people saying, like, it feels like I'm running out of steam. Like, I've been doing this uphill climb, and Josh and I just went for a almost 7-mile run, and there was a lot of uphills, and you do feel like you really want the uphill to end. But for people who are just 3 or 4 weeks into these changes, it doesn't feel like the uphill is going to end. And I wonder what you guys would say to someone who feels like, yeah, I've been working really hard, I've seen some results, and this just doesn't feel sustainable at this level, at this pace.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of things to say, but Josh, do you want to go first?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I just, because I have some things that pop up into my mind, because I've been up against that so many times along my journey. I'm just thinking right now of the times, like whether it was in my running or my resolve to keep eating in a way that says I care about my health. Whatever endeavor I was pouring my sort of willpower into, or my attention, my motivation into, it was always like temporary bursts. It's never been like this long burn, sustained, right. I got motivated and it never went away. So learning to navigate those hills, those peaks and valleys, knowing that they're there, knowing that we're not here to endure them per se, we're here to like gobble them up and learn from them, because the more we can kind of appreciate those times when the wind comes out of our sail and we got to figure out how to trudge on anyway and take the next step anyway and be a grown-up this time, or whatever self-talk you use, and then to move through that, boy, that's a big W. And you can just build a lot of self-esteem, and it just lends to the long-term sustainability of lifestyle shift.
Yeah I totally enforce that, and I think we are wanting to surf the motivation waves rather than thinking that we have to keep our motivation at the highest level at all times. Mm-hmm. So I think that's absolutely true.
Yes.
And when you are lower on motivation, it's okay. I tell people to go back and look at your food plan. Why don't we loosen up for a little bit? It sounds like you're surfing a difficult period. Why don't we loosen up for a little bit, but with very specific boundaries so you feel good about it and you feel like you're in control and not your pig, and you can stay constructive and focused, and your motivation will wax again. It will come back. The other thing I would say is that physiologically, we go through periods of adjustment. And remember, you can't kill a craving without having a craving. And so in order to wrestle your survival drive away from all of the hyperpalatable concentrations of starch and sugar and fat and oil and excitotoxins and all of the industrial crap that most of us are used to eating, to wrestle it away from that and retrain it to attach where it needs to be, there are going to be some times when you experience cravings. You're going to encounter a situation you hadn't encountered for a while. It's going to throw up a memory, and thank God I've got this craving. Thank God I've got this craving, because this is an opportunity to start to extinguish it. More importantly, remember that there's a process of downregulation and upregulation physically. So downregulation means when you repeatedly expose yourself to supersized stimuli. And a chocolate bar is a supersized stimulus, right? It's something that didn't exist on the savannah. It didn't exist in the tropics. It's an unnatural stimulation of our pleasure systems, of our nutrition-seeking systems. And when that happens, your brain says, whoa, I don't have to respond as strongly. The classic example that I give is when I was in graduate school, I slept underneath the subway. And the first couple of weeks, I wasn't like deep in the ground like in a horror movie. I was, the subway was above the ground. Picture me with moths and cockroaches and everything.
Fighting the rats for pizza.
Like Ninja Turtles.
No wonder they say graduate school's hard. They make you do that. I slept underneath I think it was the L line in the Astoria, Queens back then. And when I did that, the first couple of weeks I couldn't sleep. The subway was so loud and disturbing, and it was this foreign supersized noise. That would be akin to the first time you tasted chocolate, right? There's this, oh my God, this is more delicious than anything should naturally be. I have to get more of that. Except that's, the subway is a negative stimulus, the chocolate's a positive, but your brain responds with intensity. If you have a chocolate bar the next day, if I sleep under the subway the next day, it responds a little less intensely. 2 weeks after I started sleeping on the subway, I had no problem sleeping. I could barely hear it. That's called downregulation. You have a chocolate bar every day for 2 weeks. By the time you're done, you're not going to enjoy fruit the same way that you enjoy it now. You're not going to enjoy even the subtle sweet taste in vegetables, the difference between a Gala apple and an envy apple, or romaine lettuce versus not iceberg lettuce, but there are subtleties in the pleasure response that we're meant to experience that as a society we don't experience because we're so stimulated all the time. Now, when you withdraw that, when you decide I'm not going to have chocolate anymore, even I'm just going to have it once a week or something, your brain experiences a type of physiological depression. Some people experience a complete anhedonia, the inability to have pleasure, because they subjugated their nervous system so much to the stimulation of the sugar and the salt and the all of the industrial concentrations, that when they remove it, the natural state of being, the brain just doesn't fire the pleasure responses in the way that it should. And sometimes it even extends beyond the food, so that people feel like there's no pleasure in life. I like to tell people that's just what their pig is telling them, because all the research suggests that comes back in spades. And I think it's like at the 6 to 8 week level that your taste buds should have doubled in sensitivity, something like that. I forgot the exact study that I saw about that. But somewhere as you're approaching 2 months on your journey back to health, your pleasure system will start to kick in, and it keeps getting better and more sensitive to the subtle differences in the different stimulation that you take in, so that 90 days from now, if you don't have chocolate, you're not going to miss it. You'll hardly ever have a craving. Once in a while you might, but you'll hardly ever have a craving. You'll be looking forward. I always tell people I trained myself to have a banana kale smoothie whenever I had the craving, and after 90 days I started to feel like I was addicted to banana kale smoothies, because I would look forward to that, but there's no reason you can't be addicted to.
And the same thing I found too, the same sort of neuro adaptation takes place in the other direction. Like when you start broccoli tastes really, really bad right now. Yeah, because we've been eating Popeyes every day, right? So if we can take that same logic and apply it to the fact that, I don't like broccoli. You don't know that you don't like broccoli. You don't judge it just yet. We got to give it some time, because broccoli's medicine, man. Trust me, it's worth the effort to like broccoli. Yeah, and it won't even be an effort over time.
Right. You're just so used to the stimulation. There's another thing that happens when you readjust your diet and your health patterns with regards to the stimulation, which is people say life is boring. I can't get through life without that stimulation. And if you think about it, think about how much stimulation there is in our society, even beyond food. I mean, go to the movies and look at the coming attractions. How many scene changes are there? How many car wrecks? How many naked people? How many loud noises and explosions? Turn on the TV. How much stimulation do you get there? People are not used to being in the car without something playing or listening to, a talk show host. I'm guilty of that also. I kind of like to.
But I've never seen naked people in a car wreck. I think
you don't know what you're missing.
I think there's room for more stimulation in our society. I'm just saying.
That's true. There's room, and so when you opt out of the overstimulated world, it feels boring. The natural response for a while is to say, if this is all there is to life, I can't deal with it. It's like it's like a totally different world than you imagined. But there are several things that happen as you readjust. One is that your pleasure seeking starts to shift to healthier things. So when you're outside running on the beach, you get even greater joy from being outside running on the beach because you didn't get quite as much dopamine from the chocolate bar, right? Your life energy can also shift towards making contributions. People start to want to write, or they get involved with a cause, or they take a parenting class, or they just spend more time with their children, and they start to feel like, I'm more present. It's more fun to hug my kids than when it used to be. When I was overstimulated all the time. But the only way, Robert Frost said, the best way out is through. The only way out is through. There's no way to get to the other side and find meaning and purpose and that readjustment without going through a period where you feel bored. So it all comes down to, the pig says, we can't take this. We're running out of steam. This is boring. There's nothing fun to eat. There's no pleasure in life anymore. Go get me that chocolate bar before I kill someone. And it's just not true. It's a lie. Things are going to get better.
A couple of responses to that. One is when you talk about like downregulation, I get that it's global. So when my niece was born, they lived on, my sister and brother-in-law lived on 86th Street in Upper West Side of Manhattan. And after like a few days, it seemed like she was deaf. She wasn't, she wasn't responding. And they took her to a specialist and did all these tests, and like neurologically, she seemed fine. And then it turned out there was construction in the next building. And she had downregulated from the construction globally. Like she wasn't hearing anything.
I don't know if you can see this, but when I rented my apartment, that lot was empty, and about a week later they started building that. And I've had constant construction every day, and I've gotten used to it in just the same way. So I understand.
And so hopefully whoever buys from you or rents won't...
I'm renting.
Okay.
I'm renting. Yeah.
The other thing is, like, what this reminds me of is, I don't know if you've read Deep Work by Cal Newport.
No.
Basically, the idea is that we are in a distraction, hyper arousal culture, and people aren't able to do deep work at work anymore, which is sort of hard, long, thoughtful, challenging things. And it's just like when you start, like you read the book and you're like, I want to do this, and you realize I can't do it for more than 3 minutes.
Right.
And I got to go check email, and I got to go check Facebook and Instagram. And he talks about very much like the way you do, like, okay, so even if you set 10 minutes and you're saying, this is the only 10 minutes a day I'm not going to check, like, you're going to feel the impulse to check during those 10 minutes. And that's where the growth is.
Yep. You have to rebuild that muscle. That makes sense.
And the other thing is that, I often think about the journey from not well to well in terms of the hero's journey. But the way you're describing it, there's like the important thing is completely inverted. Like in the hero's journey, the fairy tale story, things are lousy at the beginning, and the hero is bored, right? Like Luke Skywalker wasting his life on a completely boring planet, with his aunt and uncle's farm, or Neo in the cubicle. And then the adventure comes and it becomes hyper-stimulating. Right. But what we're talking about is the exact opposite. We're in the Matrix, where we're getting this constant stimulation, and all of a sudden to become the hero means now your journey is like oh, life is colorless and boring.
It's more like 7 years into bed or something like that.
But a good appreciation for discomfort and pain, I think, helps mitigate that the heaviness of how that sounds. Like for me, and that my running is what I'm getting to, is like that appreciation for what sort of growth physically has come to me for signing up for this scheduled discomfort. Not only has it helped me physically, but it's helped me in my decision-making process. It's helped me in my clarity of mind, like through the sticking points, through the hard parts of life.
Yeah.
You know? So double down on that area if you're wobbling a bit.
I go through periods of low exercise motivation, but I consider it's only my job to show up. I go to exercise classes. I go to CrossFit. It's only my job to show up. And I suffer through it, but I feel so much better afterwards. And
and I learned it as a kid, because when I was like 11, 12 years old, I was on the job site with a shovel. And so I'd spend 6-8 hour days as a young man, like out in the hot sun all day. But then when you see like 500 feet of water line laid, back dressed, and everything looks good, and you got the fire hydrant turned on, and we did that. We made that. It was hard though. It was a hard day's work, and so having that appreciation as a kid, because even to go fishing or to go on a big long hunting trip, it requires so much work and effort. You know, getting the food plots ready, all of those different things that we would do, it all required work for the fruit. You know, so appreciate the discomfort, appreciate what feels like work when you feel like you're running out of steam. Yeah, it's time for you. It's time for you to do it on purpose now a little bit.
When I was 11 years old, I was hacking into my dad's office with a eavesdropping microphone, and I was listening to all of his sessions. I don't have a point with that. I just thought I'd share.
That's pretty cool.
Do you have another question, Howie? Is there something in the audience?
Well, it reminds me a little bit of I was listening to Car Talk many years ago, and they were sharing their French car theory of existential misery, which is like everyone has the same amount of misery in their life. So if you buy a French car, that will take up most of it, and the rest of your life will be good. And it's sort of like there's something about that is relevant here, I think, in terms of like, you know, I often think of Spinal Tap and the amp that goes to 11, right? That we all have an 11, and right now our 11 might be chocolate and Instagram and porn and overwork, but when we let go of that, the simple pleasures are going to rise to 11, right? The fresh summer squash, the sun gold cherry tomato, the hug, the conversation, the sunset.
Yes. But pleasure is a relative experience, and you can either chase the pleasure dragon by chasing progressively more stimulation, or you can do it by chasing less. And as you chase less, paradoxically, you get more in the areas that are more meaningful and sustainable. And if you chase the stimulation in the areas where you're going to be overtaxing your nervous system, then it really leads to more misery.
Chase appreciation more than you chase stimulation. Chase appreciation. Yeah. I've learned that the more that I've appreciated what I already have in my life, the happier and freer I've become.
Yeah.
You know? And the less I need to salve moments in time with stimulus.
Yeah. I read this quote from Byron Katie after the movie The Secret came out, and she kind of had a problem with the movie. Like, I was enthralled by it for a little while before the spell broke. But the idea of The Secret, like all these people say, you could have anything you want. And Byron Katie she was on the radio talking about it. She says, maybe that's true, but I know from experience it's true that I can want everything I have.
That's true too. Peter McWilliams said, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. You can have anything you want, you can't have everything you want. So, what do you want?
Beautiful.
What are you going to sacrifice to get it? So.
Yeah. What's that one thing you can't live without? Yeah.
Yep. Nate, for me, it's Nathan for You. I have to see Nathan for You.
Oh, God, love Nathan for You.
Don't you love that show?
Have you seen the one where he does the weight loss company?
Remind me what happened.
He wants
The unusual ways to lose weight, where he takes pictures of a guy naked in a Frankfurter.
No. This was he gets somebody to. He wants to start a weight loss. Like what we do essentially.
Yeah.
An information business for weight loss. So he finds this guy in incredible shape and creates a story for him that all he did, he was like 300 pounds and he lost all this weight and became really buff by just picking up boxes and moving them.
Oh yes, and they get all these people to do that.
Yeah, because it was a guy. I remember it was a guy who had a moving company, and they couldn't. And he was going to help him make more money by getting people to volunteer to work for him. Yeah. So he was going to turn it into a gym. And then they hired somebody to write his autobiography.
I do remember.
And I'm looking at it and going, like this guy, they found somebody else for the before picture. Like who sort of had his skin tone a little bit, like a total lie. And I was watching this like a year after Josh and I had met, and I'm like, this guy's before and after is more believable than Josh.
I can show you stretch marks and the extra skin. I have the proof.
Yeah,
I have the proof.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I took more pictures when I was fatter. I hid from camera so much.
I wish I had more shirtless fat pictures, because my God, I avoided a camera like the plague. If I was ever around a pool or ever in a situation where I might have my shirt off.
Yeah. I've got like 2 pictures of me really fat, and that's it. If I'd known how much of a badge of honor it was going to be. I've actually had people tell me, you can't know anything about overeating because you only lost 80 pounds. If you didn't lose 200 pounds, then you can't possibly know. So you mean I should have gained more first? Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I just
I want to see if I can show you that. I'll see if I can find my fat picture.
Oh, cool. What was I going to say? I was looking at marketing, different people who are marketing, like, in the weight loss industry. And there's this guy, I don't want to say his website because I don't really want to go there. He's a keto guy, but he decided to gain 75 pounds and then lose it to prove a point.
Wow. Yeah, there's a documentary like that I had to stop watching. I couldn't take it. Where the trainers had like people who wouldn't lose weight. And so to prove, so they put on 100 pounds or whatever it was, 80 pounds, and then just to prove that it could be done and take it back off, and while their client was struggling the whole time. It was absurd. That's crazy.
I got the picture up on my screen now if you want to see it.
Okay, let's see if we can figure out.
Share my screen?
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay.
Did I know you then?
I don't know. Do you remember me when I looked like this? I don't know where I got this picture. I've had this picture for 20 years.
Yeah.
No, I have, gosh, here's a picture of me fat. Where's my fat picture?
I have a picture of me, like, for the blue character from Avatar.
Yeah. This is a picture of me, I think in like 2004, where I was probably about 245 there. I was pretty fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, well, I used to eat chocolate bars all day back then, but I didn't have a problem. So, I don't think I have
just a fashion problem.
Yeah, and I have another really good fat picture. This is me from a while ago.
I think you're freaking out my audience now.
I'm freaking.
Come back, Glenn. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
All right.
One of the things I like about being a little famous is I get to freak people out.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right.
Any other questions from the audience? I got a couple of minutes.
Michelle wants to know: is this a joke? So I'm not sure when she wrote that. What? Probably yes.
Maybe if it's funny.
I didn't actually look like the guy in pigtails. That was a joke.
Yeah. If it's funny, then yeah.
I really was. I was probably about 280 at one point. I stopped weighing myself at 257.
Oh yeah. I hear that. You don't want to see the scale when you know you just have completely let it go.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's like your metaphor of like, using the navigation instruments when you're flying from New York to London. Like when you can see the Sphinx, you like stop looking at the navigation.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well, guys, thanks for having me on. This is great.
Pleasure.
All right, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for dropping the wisdom.
Appreciate it.
Okay, man.
All right, buddy.
Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.